Hi, I'm Veronica and welcome to my channel. Today I would like to show you a short practice, a 15-minute practice where we go through all the joints and we're going to mobilize them in a gentle and very accessible way. So this practice is perfect, for example, if you're very low in energy, if you have chronic fatigue, um, or if you just really don't feel like moving, maybe you're a little bit depressed, and it's a very gentle way of introducing movement. It doesn't feel very tiring, it doesn't take a lot of time, but it has a lot of impact on the body. So the movement, the full mobilization of all the joints is really important for the movement of fluids in your body, for overall mobility. So you're going to really see the impact of that if you do it daily. It's also a great kind of practice if you struggle with overall pain. Um, and it's actually really good for everyone. Just as a generic practice, something that you could start the day with, but it doesn't necessarily need to be in the morning. It could also be a nice break when you were sitting or staying in one position for a long time. You won't need any props for this practice apart from any wall or any furniture to help you with the balance with one movement. So let's start by walking on the spot so that you let your feet land wherever it feels comfortable for you. And then you could shift the weight a couple of times between your toes and heels so that you land on the whole feet. You can also wait for a second for the weight of the lower portion of the body to drop into the floor. Find some softness in all the joints. And we're going to move through all the joints from the bottom, from the toes, all the way to the neck. So the first thing would be to lift all the toes and spread them wide apart and then lower them to the ground as well. Then you can shift the weight a couple of times from one foot to the other, eventually landing on one foot. And once you land on the foot, you can lift the heel and turn the whole leg out. So you're staying on your toes now, and you're going to tuck the toes under and then untuck them. And you have the leg at an angle so that you can do it also with your little toe. Then keep that heel in the ground and make big circles around the big toe so that you're rolling your foot over the toenails as well. So you're going to feel that it doesn't move only your ankle, but also your entire leg in the hip socket. And then you can land with that foot and just compare how it feels, right leg, left leg. Let's repeat on the other side. You shift the weight to this foot, turn the leg out, tuck and untuck those a couple of times. And then do big circles around the big toe. And let it land. Now something a little bit tricky. For that one, you might want to get some support from the wall or any furniture. You can shift the weight to one foot, lift the other leg, and try to isolate the movement of the lower leg. So you don't want to move your ankle, which would look like this, and you don't want to move your whole leg, which would look like this. Your knee stays exactly in the same spot, and the lower leg draws a circle in the air. You could also work with the balance if you want and try that without the support of the hands. And of course, try that on the other side. Telling your foot, your toes to relax. Then you can bring your feet together, bend the knees. Place your hands above the knees. And we're going to draw half circles with the knees. So moving forward, out, and back in one direction. Again, it's not just about the movement of the knees. Your ankles are moving here as well. And then you can try the other side. Let's keep going higher up. So we're moving now to the pelvis. And the point here is that you're going to move the pelvis around the plumb line, around the central axis of the body without engaging the upper torso. So your head stays in the same position. It's just the pelvis making circles around that central axis. That means it's not that maximum movement you could make and your entire torso moving together with the pelvis. The head stays in the same place, and it's only the pelvis making circles around the central axis. And here it's not so much about how many repetitions you do or how big those circles are, but about the fluidity of the movement. So you're always very curious about the moments where it feels like you're overcoming an obstacle, or maybe it feels a little bit rusty. And then you try to go through those places again, slower, searching for that fluidity. It might be interesting to change the direction. Sometimes the sensations change depending on the direction. I have more movements for mobilizing the pelvis in that video, so make sure to check it out later. But now we're moving higher up and we're gonna get to the movement of the rib cage. It does take some time to isolate the movement of the rib cage itself. And again, I have a separate video about that. But basically the idea is that instead of moving the pelvis or the shoulders, you move from the rib cage itself, drawing circles here. You will see my shoulders moving, but they're moving not because I'm moving my shoulders, they're moving because the shoulders are directly attached to the rib cage. So obviously they will respond to this movement of the rib cage. And just like with the other circle, it might create slightly different sensations when you change the direction. All right, so we're going to make our way higher up to the shoulders. Here, another common thing is that you move your shoulders moving from the arms, which would look like this. Now it's my arms actually moving, and the shoulders move just because I'm moving my arms. So in this case, you want to have your arms completely loose, relaxed, and move shoulders from the shoulders. Again, you can learn it and do more slowly and step by step through it, checking the other video I have. But basically, the idea is to go through upward movement, downward movement, forward movement, and backward movement, always initiating it from the shoulder itself with a really loose arm. And then when you combine all of them, that's how you create a circle. And one more time, you're interested in any moments where you might feel it's feeling a bit stuck, not so fluid, not so smooth. All right. If you want to add something extra, some extra work or exercise for your brain, you can try moving one shoulder in forward circle while the other one moves backward. Okay, we're moving now to the arms. So you can move your arms out to the sides, and let's focus on the wrist. So you will be bending the wrist so that the fingers point up and down. You could also keep it like this with the fingers pointing up for a moment and try to reach as if you're pushing two opposite walls. It might feel quite intense in your arms. If you need a break at any point, you can always lower the arms for the moment. And you will be also making circles only with the wrist. So the arms stay still. And now something a little bit more tricky. So just like we did with the lower legs, only the forearms are moving. So the fingers are loose, the wrists are loose, and only the forearms are drawing circles in the air. The elbows stay in the same spot in space. The upper arms are still parallel to the floor. If you're not sure whether this is really happening for you and it's hard to isolate this movement, I suggest first to immobilize the upper arm with the other hand. Have a good look what's going on with that hand. If you're making circles with your wrist, tell the wrist to chill and do the circles just with the forearm. Once you've done it with one at a time, it will be easier for your brain to grasp it with both at the same time. All right. The fingers themselves also very useful, especially if you work a lot at a computer. So you can stretch the arms in front of you, palms facing up, and then close one finger at a time from the little finger to the thumb, and open one at a time from the thumb to the little finger. You can do the same, also changing the orientation of your palm. So we've got everything until the neck so far. To get to the neck, the best would be not really that usual movement when you drop the chin and make a big circles with the head, but rather to keep your head as it is, facing forward, with the nose facing forward, without turning it to the side. So really, the head is facing forward, and you're drawing small, really small circles with the head in this orientation, small circles in space. So it's a little bit like what the Bollywood dancers do. Again, it's a bit tricky. It's sometimes hard for your brain to understand this movement. Maybe you want to practice it in front of a mirror a couple of times first, but it's great to reset your head on top of the cervical spine. So it's perfect if you have a tendency to have your head forward of the whole body. And that's how we can get to the movement that moves your entire spine together with the two parts that are connected to it, so with the skull and with the pelvis. So here you also want to stay within your central axis, and you will be rounding your back together with changing the position of the pelvis, with tilting the pelvis and dropping the head slightly. So your entire body becomes this kind of huge C shape. You could also imagine you're hugging an imaginary tree in front of you. But what is important here is that you still stay within your central axis, which means you don't bend at the waist. You're not reaching forward here in space at all. And you will know that if you look down when you're in that C shape, your gaze should drop exactly in between of your feet. If you look down and you see the space on the mat somewhere in front of your feet, then you know you moved forward in space. You don't want that. You stay within your central axis. So this is the shape number one. Shape number two, you're lifting the tail a little bit. You're curving the spine, reaching back with the shoulders and with the arms, and lifting the head slightly. They're going between these two shapes, more like a C and more like an S. C and S. You could add this breath to that. Inhaling here, exhaling when you round the spine. Whole spine together with the pelvis and the head moving. Another brilliant movement for the spine is the wave, where you start from the tail and you make all those vertebrae move independently of one another. That wave reaches all the way to the neck and makes your head move as well. Again, it might feel a little bit awkward at first, so you can check my video on that. And that's it. We went through all the joints in the body. I hope that you enjoyed this short and gentle practice. And if you are here because you're currently struggling with chronic pain or the persistent pain, then I invite you to download for free a short audio first aid for pain. You can do it from my website here. I will also link it below. See you next time.